good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world. Welcome to today's Postgrad webinar service. Today we're joined by SOAS, based in the UK. We're going to be hearing from Dr. Yanis Defermos about studying economics, sustainability, and data science at SOAS Uni in London. Now, you're going to have plenty of questions, no doubt, from what it's like to study at SOAS in London, the different opportunities that are open to you as a student, perhaps what it's like to live there, any funding and scholarships questions, please pop it all in the chat. This is being streamed on social media also, and if you do happen to scroll through your timeline and you are seeing this on Facebook, Instagram, please ask us a question. It will make its way through to us. It is live. Today's date is the 15th of April 2026. So if you do hear any information that is date sensitive, please factor that in if you are watching in demand. And if you have any questions whatsoever, webinars@postgradsolutions.com is the best email for you to reach out to us on. But without keeping you waiting too much longer, Dr. Yanis Defermos, over to you. I look forward to hearing more about SOAS. I'll be back for the Q&A at the end.
Great. Thank you so much for the introduction. Hello, everyone. Thanks a lot for joining us. My name is Yanis Defermos. I'm the head of the Department of Economics at SOAS University of London. And I would like to talk about what we offer at SOAS, why we have a quite unique perspective to economics. I'm going to go through all our master's programs in order for you to understand the difference between programs and what program perhaps would fit your need. But what I would like first to do is to say a few things about what we do at SOAS and how the Department of Economics is approaching the teaching of economics and how we do research in economics and why this matters for you. So the Department of Economics at SOAS University of London is a very well-known department that works on political economy and development economics and current economic policies, with several key unique perspectives. The first one is that the way that we teach economics is very much oriented towards different schools of economic thought. So we want you to become a critical economist. We want you to understand how different theories try to explain inflation, productivity, economic growth, unemployment, the environmental issues, as I will explain in a bit. So the way that we teach economics is very pluralist because we are trying to compare and contrast different theoretical approaches. And as you can imagine, nowadays this is very important, especially because we are in the age of AI, where critical thinking is really fundamental if you're going to find a job, if you want to become an academic, if you want to do PhD research. So we are trying to make sure that you get this critical perspective. Second, we focus too much on informing our teaching, especially in our master's programs, based on what we do in our research. So as I will explain later, we have research centers in the department. We have very active researchers across different themes, and they work a lot with policymakers. So what we do in our teaching is that we bring these perspectives into the way that we run our modules. So you'll have the opportunity to understand what are the recent research developments, how they affect the way that we think about economic policies, how they affect the way that we understand inequalities, fiscal policies, inflation, interest rates, and so on. The third feature of the economics department and our master's programs is that we try to be rigorous in the sense that we make sure that you learn about the recent quantitative methods in economics. We do a lot of coding using R and Python, as I will explain a little bit more in a bit. And we have a lot of modules that focus on econometrics, on data science methods, on economic modeling, of course. So we really want to make sure that when you graduate from us, you will be in a position to have all the technical skills that are necessary for an economist. And we are very much policy focused. We work with central banks, with ministers of finance, with international organizations that do policy making in practice. And we want our students to understand the connection between theory and economic policies. So by combining all these different perspectives into our programs, we we want to make sure that all our students are very dynamic, they can adapt quickly to new realities, because the key issue nowadays is not so much to get a specific type of knowledge, but to be in a position to adapt when things change, as it has happened recently with AI. So let me now explain a little bit what are the different programs that we offer. And I would like to go through the structure of all these programs to explain first what makes each one of these programs unique. A second, to explain which program might suit you depending on what exactly you would like to do with us. So we have three more traditional programs: the MSc Economics, the MSc Development Economics, and the MSc Economic Policy. The first two programs, Economics and Development Economics, are programs that are very well suited to those of you who have already done economics and would like to get a specialization either in economic theory and applications or development economics. So if you are already an economist and you want to get a master's where you will have the opportunity to learn more about the technical aspects of economics, the policy economic perspectives of theories, and you want to become an applied economist, these programs perhaps will be best for you. Now we have the MSc Economic Policy program, which is a program for those of you who are not an economist already. So this program is for those of you who don't have an economics background. You might have a background related to other disciplines, and you want to learn more about economics, you're going to get some specialization in economics, then this program is for you, because we introduce you to economic policy tools. We don't assume that you already know about this, but at the same time, we make sure that at the end of this program, you will have got all the tools that are necessary in order to be someone who has an expertise in economic policy. We also have the MSc Global Political Economy, which is a program that we run together with other departments at SOAS, in particular the Department of Development Studies and our Politics Department. And this is for those of you who want to develop expertise in global political economy, which is an area that, as you can imagine now, is receiving a lot of attention because of all the geopolitical changes that we have been seeing over the last few years, and the connection between politics and economics. So I will talk a little bit more about this program later. And we have three programs that focus on data science and AI. We have the MSc Data Science and Economic Policy, which is a program for those of you who already know a little bit about economics or want to learn more about economics, but at the same time want to get an expertise in data science. You want to understand, first of all, what are the key methods that have to do with data science and how we apply them in practice, but also what are the ethical aspects of data science applications, and how all this is connected with economic policy. As you can imagine, many organizations right now that do economic policy are incorporating data science techniques into what they do. For instance, there are a lot of applications of data science in social policy, in labor market policy, in macroeconomic policy. So this program will allow you to understand these applications from a data science perspective. We have the MSc AI and Sustainability, which is a kind of a broader program in the sense that it looks at the technical aspects of AI, but at the same time it focuses on the connections between what we call environmental, economic, and social sustainability. So this is a program for those of you who want to understand better what AI means for development, for economic policy, for environmental sustainability, and for inequalities. You will get the technical expertise, but you will also get this more interdisciplinary perspective in terms of the implications of AI. And if you mostly want to focus on data science, the technical aspects and the ethical applications of data science, we have a program that focuses in data science. So it's the MS in data science, where you get this broader perspective in terms of the applications of data science, with a specific emphasis on ethical issues. We collaborate with our College of Humanities here at SOAS in order to deliver the modules of this program. So these are the different programs that we have. So let me now say a few things about each one of these programs in order to understand a little bit more the details in terms of the different modules that we have, but also in terms of the entry requirements. So MS Economic Policies, what are the unique features of this program? It offers training both in heterodox and mainstream economics. This is related to what I mentioned before about having a pluralist approach to teaching. So we want you to become a critical thinker. We want you to understand different approaches to the different problems in economics. That's why we cover different schools of economic thought in terms of how we analyze economic phenomena. Second, is a program where we focus quite a lot on developing coding skills for doing economic modeling, for doing econometrics, which are very significant tools in economics nowadays. Let me just say that, of course, we are incorporating all the developments that we are seeing right now with AI tools like Claude, so you will have the chance to understand how you can use these new tools in order to do coding, in order to advance the skills that you might have on coding, because as you can imagine, things are very dynamic right now in terms of coding. So we are incorporating all that into our teaching, and you can specialize in different areas. You might want to do mostly international finance or the economics of the environment. We have a lot of people who work on the economics of the environment in the department, or you might want to focus more on the links between institutions and economics. So there are different specializations that you can take through this program. And we require that you have a degree that is related to economics, broadly speaking. So we have a quite broad definition in terms of the degrees that you need to have taken before you join us. And two is entry requirement for this program. How about the structure? I mean, this program has four compulsory modules: macroeconomics, microeconomics, econometrics with hard coding, and advanced econometrics with coding. So you have to take these modules, but then you have a very big list of modules that you need to select from, and this can include modules that have to do with development or economic policy. It can be modules that focus more on micro and macroeconomics with emphasis on developing economic models using coding. You can have international finance or financial systems if you are interested in finance. What is important is that at SOAS we have a very long tradition in terms of working on specific regions. We have a lot of links with several countries in the Africa continent. We have a lot of links with countries in Asia. So we have modules like the political economy of the Middle East, China world development, structural change economic development in Africa. So if you want to get a more precise perspective about a specific region, you can select one of these modules. And all students who join us into the master's program, they write a dissertation. So you have to write a dissertation as well, which mostly happens between June and late August, when you have finished with the final exams and all the other assignments. And I wanted to highlight that at SOAS we always try to accommodate your interests. So you will have a supervisor from who is going to make sure that you use the right methodologies and that you approach the topic in a way that is academically rigorous, but it's basically your choice when it comes to the topic. So we try to accommodate the topics that you want to work on. Development economics is a similar program in the sense that it requires some economics training. It focuses also on different schools of macroeconomic and microeconomic thought and political economy. It also provides different opportunities in terms of specialization, but it draws on our tradition in the Department of Economics, where we have so many people who have been working on development economics, and we have developed our own perspective to development economics. So you will have the chance to engage with theories that have to do with development, and theories that sometimes are quite critical in terms of the way that development is conducted nowadays. So you will get a very different understanding of how we should think about development from a political economy perspective. And this is reflected in the structure of the program, which is similar to the previous one, but you have to do growth and development, where you have the opportunity to engage with these theories about development. And then, as in the previous program, you have a lot of different options. You can focus on finance, sustainability, different regions, depending on what your interests are. So you have the same flexibility as in the previous program. Now, the MSc Economic Policy, as I said before, this is different in the sense that we have different entry requirements. So you need to have a sufficiently high grade, but it can be from many different disciplines. So we don't require that you have engaged with economics. Now, what is unique in this program is that it provides the same critical perspective as the previous programs, but it has a very specific focus on real-world applications of principles of economic policy. So through this program, you will understand how exactly we apply social policies, what are the theories behind the design of social policies. You will understand how central banks take decisions, what is the rationale behind these decisions, what are the debates about central banking nowadays. You will engage, for instance, with the debates about what the Fed does in the US compared to the European Central Bank, and compared to what let's say the Reserve Bank of India or People's Banks of China do, and why they have a different theoretical and institutional perspective, because there are so many differences between central banks in terms of how they try to control inflation, exchange rates, and so on. So you will get this real-world understanding of economic policy. And in terms of modules, this is quite different compared to the previous programs. We have compulsory modules that cover global economic policy and sustainability. And again, sustainability is defined in broad terms. It includes both environmental and social sustainability. You will do research methods to get an understanding of how we do research in economics. You will do statistical methods and machine learning. So we have incorporated machine learning techniques into what you will do as part of this program. And you will do a module that focuses on different perspectives in terms of economic theory and policies. And this will provide the foundations for selecting the modules that you can see on the slide. So you have, again, a lot of different options. Let me say that you also have the chance to do programming for data science in case you want to get a hands-on experience in terms of how we write codes in practice and how we can apply this to economic policy questions. So this program is for those of you who have a specific interest in economic policy, and this is what makes it unique. Now, let me focus a little bit on the data science and AI programs that we are also offering. So we have the MSc Data Science. It's a program that doesn't have a specific disciplinary background. It's for those of you who haven't done data science in the past, but you are interested in understanding the application of data science. And we have modules that would allow you to be introduced to data science methods, and then to apply these data science methods to real-world data sets and ask and answer specific questions that have to do with economics, with development, with politics. So it's about the social science applications of data science. The other thing that is very important in terms of this program and what we offer is that we provide a critical understanding of what data science methods mean in practice. As you can imagine, there are so many debates about data science, the biases that we have in data, the exploitation that sometimes takes place in order to generate AI tools that rely on specific type of data. There are many people right now who work for the big AI companies with very low wages. So there are ethical issues that have been raised and are going to be raised more in the coming years about the data science applications. This is why we collaborate with the SOAS College of Humanities in order to get also this ethical perspective. Now, in terms of the structure of this program, basically you will do a lot of technical modules if you select this one. You will do statistical methods and machine learning. You will do big data analytics and AI. applied issues in machine learning, which will be a module that will allow you to understand how we use machine learning methods in practice. You will do data management and visual analytics. In terms of programming, you will do both R and Python for those of you who are familiar with these languages. And there will also be a module where you do critical global perspectives on AI and ethics. We have less optional modules for this program because we're going to have a very specific core that would allow you to get the technical expertise that is necessary in order to get a degree in data science. But there will be also modules where you can do more from a technical perspective, but also to engage a little bit more with our colleagues in the College of Humanities. The MSc Data Science and Economic Policy is different in the sense that it focuses more on the economic policy applications of data science. So what makes this program unique is that you combine the training in the principles of economic policy with the training in terms of data science methods. And what we try to do is to make sure that you understand how policymakers nowadays are using data sets and data science methods to take decisions. But also what are the implications of that in terms of the economy, in terms of productivity, in terms of inequalities. The requirements here are also very broad because we want you to have a sufficiently high mark. You need to have two, but at the same time, we are quite open in terms of the disciplinary background. The way that the program is structured is that we have 4 compulsory modules. Basically, 3 of those modules are about data science and AI. And then we have the perspectives of economic theory and policy, which will introduce you to economic theories and policy debates. And this will allow you then to take more modules related to economics, in case you haven't done economics before. This will be, for example, growth and development, macroeconomics and sustainability with coding, where you will have the chance to use data in order to analyze inflation, unemployment, growth, and so on. And there will also be the opportunity to take our unique regional modules. So this was the MSc Data Science and Economic Policy. The AI and sustainability is for those of you who want to understand the broader implications of AI, not only the implications for economic policy, but to understand what AI means about the climate crisis. Is AI making the crisis worse? Is going to help us to address the crisis? If you want to understand what AI means for social sustainability, are we going to have societies whereby people will not need to work so much? Or are we going to have more exploitation of labor because of the power of the big AI companies? These are the types of questions that you will engage with if you do this program. We collaborate with the Development Studies Department at SOAS to run this program. So you will also get the expertise, you will engage with the expertise of our colleagues in Development Studies that focus quite a lot on sustainability issues, especially at the local level. Because sometimes, as you know, economists tend to be too theoretical or not to apply everything to what it means for local communities. So you will get this perspective also from those who work on development studies. And the structure is that there are 4 compulsory modules that focus on first sustainability and second the technical aspects of AI. And then there will be guided options. You might decide to do more on economics, in which case you can take modules like global economic policy sustainability or evaluation methods for economic policy. Or you might decide to do more on ethics and the data science applications. So there are different options in terms of where you can focus on. And finally, we have this program. This is a very interdisciplinary program because we have developed this in collaboration with both the Development Studies Department and the Politics Department at SOAS. And this allows you to get a global perspective of what we call political economy. And political economy refers to the connections between economics and politics and the role of power. You will engage with the debates about China versus US, what is happening right now, what can happen in the coming years, how can we understand this from an economics perspective, uh, how can we understand this from a politics perspective, and what can we say about trade in China, what can we say about the green transition in China, what might be the implications if China is going to become the big green state that is going to generate a lot of electricity from renewables, and then the other countries don't follow. So there are so many interesting questions right now about the role of China compared to the US. And this is an example of questions that you're going to engage with if you do this program. There are three compulsory modules and quite a lot of optional modules. So you will need to do political economy of development, which is offered by our development studies department, global economic policy and sustainability, we do this program, international political economy, which is run by politics. And then you can decide to focus more on development or economics or politics. But what will be extremely interesting in this program is that you will have the chance to engage with people with very different backgrounds and understand political economy in a way that will be very unique, because it will not be just one discipline but three different disciplines. Uh, just to say that if you join our master's programs, you also have the opportunity to do a second year in Bologna, and we have a collaboration with them. So if you are interested in that, please let me know. You can email me and I can give you more details. But the idea is that you have the opportunity to do a second year there. This is what we have worked on with them. And now let me say a few things quickly about how all this is related to our research. Because as I said at the beginning, what makes our department quite unique is that we do a lot of research that has to do with the applications of economics, in particular with respect to policy making. And we make sure that you engage with this research if you join us to do a master's program. So we have the SOAS Center for Sustainable Finance. I also work in this center. We have done a lot of capacity building with central banks on climate change. We have worked with Ministers of Finance in order to develop the new generation of economists that will understand how we can analyze the environmental crisis from a financial perspective, from an economic perspective. And as you can imagine, there has been a lot of demand for that because, let's say, there are many banks in India that now want to understand what climate risks imply for the defaults that commercial banks might face in the next 5 or 10 years. There's a lot of interest in Europe about the implications of the climate-related events like droughts or floods in terms of the financial system. And there is a lot of interest at the same time in economic policies that would allow us to support the green transition. And this includes policies that are designed by central banks and financial regulators. So in this center, we are doing research with a lot of practitioners around the world and policy-making institutions related to these types of questions. And we have two specific modules in our programs that have to do with the research of the center. The first is sustainable finance, and the second is macroeconomic sustainability with coding. So in sustainable finance, you will understand how finance now has adjusted in order to analyze climate risks and in order to support the green transition. And in macroeconomics and sustainability with coding, you will engage with macroeconomic models and different types of tools that central banks and ministers of finance are trying to use nowadays in order to analyze the implications of the environmental crisis and design fiscal and monetary policy tools that can help economies to decarbonize. The other center that we have in the department is the Center for Sustainable Structural Transformations. It's a center that focuses quite a lot on industrial policies. You might know that there has been a lot of discussion about industrial policies over the last 20 years or so. And very, very recently, the institutions like the World Bank and IMF specified that industrial policy is going to be key for the way that different economies around the world will manage to survive and develop in this new environment that we are. Where there's a lot of competition between countries, where it's very important for countries to develop their own capacity to produce goods and services, given the uncertainty that we have after the elections in the US last year. So this center focuses specifically on the industrial policy perspective of the green transition. We collaborate with several practitioners and policymakers and institutions, primarily in the African continent, but also in Southeast Asia. It's a center that has received quite a lot of funding, which means that it's also very dynamic. We have a lot of postdoctoral researchers, and you will also have the chance to meet them and to understand what they're doing in their research. More broadly, we have a lot of professors in the department who engage directly with policymakers and institutions that are at the core of the debates about economic policies. Last year, Haju Chang had an event where we invited Stiglitz, who got the Nobel Prize in Economics many, many years ago. And there was a discussion about the current debates in economic policies and economic development. Mustak Khan is well known for his work on anti-corruption. The picture that I have on the slide is from a video by Financial Times that focused on Bangladesh and what is happening, what has happened over the last 2 or 3 years in Bangladesh, and he provided his perspective about corruption in Bangladesh. And we also organized quite a lot of events with important people in the area of the environmental crisis. Last year, we organized an event related to COP30, and there were speakers that are very significant in terms of how these debates are shaped. So my colleagues Daniela Gabor and Uli Vols were part of these discussions. And if you join us, you will have the chance to participate in these events that we organize at SOAS. Now, you might ask yourself, okay, that sounds good, but how exactly do I engage directly with this research? Because there might be a lot of events at SOAS, there might be a lot of people around you who are doing interesting stuff, but you might have the question of how exactly you are going to talk to them, how you will understand the research. And what we do is that, first of all, as I said before, you will do your own research as part of your dissertation. And this is where you will need to apply specific economic policy tools, for example, or specific methods, use specific data, and we will supervise you. So you will have in any case, the opportunity to work with us and understand how we do research and how you can learn from that in the context of your dissertation. Second, we have a scheme where you can apply to become a part-time research assistant in one of our projects. So to give you an example, now I'm working with the Central Bank of the Philippines in order to develop a macroeconomic model for climate change. And as part of this project, there will be a research assistant who is currently a master's student at SOAS, who is going to work on a specific aspect of this project that has to do with the informal economy in the Philippines. Or one of my colleagues is working on central banking in several countries in Africa, and he's going to recruit someone who will do some research related to the tools that different central banks in the African continent are using or perhaps can use in the future in order to address climate challenges. These will be part-time jobs, short-term, so it's not that you're going to get a lot of money from that, but you will get the experience of doing research with us on something that will be extremely applied. The other thing that we are doing that is important is that some of the dissertations are co-supervised with experts from organizations like the World Bank, the International Labour Organization, the United Nations Conference on Trade and Development, which in practice means that for a significant proportion of those of the students who do a dissertation, there will be both an academic supervisor, this will be us, and a supervisor outside SOAS from these organizations. And this means that you will get advice from people who are doing economic policy in practice right now. And this will help you to understand how exactly to frame the topic of your dissertation. It will help you to understand what are the practical questions that policymakers are having in their mind right now in terms of taking policy-related decisions. So you can do that. On top of it, we have now collaboration with the World Bank, and after September, some people who will be our master students, they will be able to participate in a 3-month internship with the World Bank to work on a specific project. So let's say that the World Bank now has a project that has to do with the use of specific data sets in order to analyze social policy in a specific country. You can join and do some research with them, get the experience, and this means that, first of all, it will be important for your CV. You will learn a lot from that process, and of course, this can create opportunities also in the World Bank later. And of course, one thing that is very important is that we have a very, very lively SOAS alumni and SOAS community in general. We organize a lot of events where we invite people from our alumni to come and talk to you. So we had an event a few weeks ago where we had people who have been in our alumni and have worked for the Bank of England, the European Commission, and they provided their advice to our current students. So you will be part of this community and you will engage with the SOAS networks. We organize a lot of events, as I said already. So these are 2 examples of forthcoming events. We do economics in a way that is very interdisciplinary. So we have, for instance, an event that focuses on the role of corporate power in food systems. We have another event that focuses on racial inequalities that have to do with South African firms. So there will be a lot of different opportunities depending on what your interest is. And let me finish by saying a few things about scholarships. We have, first of all, some specific scholarships for our data science and AI programs. And you can apply for these scholarships by the end of May. And we also have scholarships for all our programs, and you can engage with our webpage where we have information about that. I have here the link, so you can easily find this information if you go to the SOAS website. So there are several opportunities. Some of the scholarships cover part of the fees, maybe about 50% or 40%. Other scholarships are full scholarships. Please have a look. There are opportunities. You need to get an offer in most cases in order to be able to apply. So have a look if you need a scholarship in order to join us. And engage with what we're posting on LinkedIn. We have a very lively LinkedIn account where you can find more about our research, about our events, about our current students. And I also have here the link to our webpage where you can find more information about our working paper series, our current research projects, our profiles as academics, and of course you can find information about our programs. So let me stop there. Thanks a lot and happy to respond to any questions you might have.
Thank you, Yanis. Really appreciate your time. That's quite a long time there. You're talking by yourself. You're going to still. If we can just leave the screen where it is, please, Yanis, just so people can scan that QR code in case they
Yeah, of
wanted to.
course.
But if we can just have a chat about, I mean, we've heard about SOAS and the job opportunities there. Post-graduation are fantastic as well. It's very rare you hear of a institution offering that. Many of your students will be international. What will the classrooms be like because of that? Are they large classroom sizes? Are they small? Does it create quite interesting classes because of the international nature of the university?
Yeah, thanks a lot for asking this because what is unique at SOAS is that we are perhaps the most international university in the UK. And what I find always very fascinating is that we have classes where we might have one person from India, two people from Bangladesh, one from Kenya, two from Nigeria, one from Brazil, another one from Argentina. So there's very diverse. And I have to say that I always learn from my students because I might say, for example, this is what theory says about how you do central banking in these countries. And then someone would say, yes, great, but also in my country we do that. And this is something unique in terms of how our economy works. And this means that people, me including, learn from each other. So in most cases, there will be relatively small classes. I mean, we have, first of all, the lecture, which is relatively big, but then we have the tutorial groups where people work, in most cases, also in very small groups of 3 or 4 people. And because we don't have classes with more, I mean, tutorials with more than 20 or 25 students, it means that you are going to learn from all other students. You are going to engage with students with very, very different experiences. And one thing that people from our alumni always highlight is how much their perspective changed because of this global features of our, let's say, training, which is not only that we do this in our, let's say, theoretical discussions, we see this in practice. People who are going to, to go and have a chat and have a drink with people who are in another country, and they have a very different way of thinking that you would never imagine that this way of thinking exists. So this is very, very unique at SOAS. This is why we call SOAS the world's university, because we're trying to make sure that we are extremely international. And one thing to highlight is that this allows you to understand global challenges better because of that. So this is how it will look like. I mean, I'm talking about that in a confident way because I have talked to so many students and they always highlight how important this has been for not only for their let's say academic profile when they left SOAS, but also how much this affect them as people, as the way that they think about the world.
Absolutely. And obviously, you're positioned in central London, and that's key. Where will many of the students live? Will they live on the outskirts of London? Will they travel in? Obviously, the rail links, the public transport links are fantastic. So if they did want to come into campus, and they will many of them live on the outskirts, or will they live on campus?
I mean, it's both. There are many students who live quite close because there are opportunities to live close to SOAS, and it depends on whether you have a scholarship or whether you do this with your own funding. So many people live quite close to campus, but as you said, because public transport is great in London, many students also decide to live a little bit further from the center. But then, I mean, you can come here, depending on where you are exactly, but in 30, 40 minutes, you can be here. You can spend all your day on campus. Also, many students, of course, spend their time in the library. We have a quite historical library, which is very well known, and it's great to study there. And then they can use public transport basically any time and go back home. So there's a lot of flexibility in terms of that.
Excellent. In terms of students applying, there'll be many students that will be saying, "I want to apply there." What is it you're looking for? What is it specifically on a personal statement, on an application form that will make a
Mhm.
student stand out?
I mean, of course, the first thing is that we look at their CV, we look at their grades. We want to make sure that we have strong students, but the statement is very important as well. And what we try to understand is whether the students who have applied understand why this program is useful to them, and what makes us unique and how they can contribute to the program based on their background. Because as I said, we are learning from each other. So we want to make sure that we have students who have this way of thinking that, I'm going to bring my perspectives to your programs. Uh, this is why I want to join you. This is how I imagine myself after I graduate from the program. So to summarize this, we focus on the motivation, the understanding of what this means for them in terms of their plans. And we also want to see a little bit of understanding of what SOAS is, right? I mean, many people are motivated to apply for, let's say, development economics, but we would like to see in the statement why SOAS specifically. So these are the three things that in most cases we look at when we evaluate the applications.
Course. And going back to the post graduation, the job opportunity links, we saw about the internship with the World Bank, which is um, a fantastic opportunity. Students obviously have the opportunity to do their research at one of the top universities in London. Talk to me about how important it is to have that job opportunity post graduation, because most unis, whether you study economics or you don't, won't have that opportunity for a student to go and work in-house firsthand with economists all over the globe, will they?
Yeah, that's true. And this is why we thought that it would be really important to develop that because in the previous years we realized how important it is for our students. Now, why is it important? First of all, in many cases, what we have seen in other universities is that students get an economics degree, and then first of all they might have a quite theoretical understanding of economics. And when they apply, they cannot make the connection between theories and what organizations need in practice. So the best way to make this connection is if you have an experience working with these organizations. And we do this in two steps. So one step is that we want people from these organizations to be involved in the research of our students when they do their dissertations. And the second is for our students to be directly involved in specific projects. Now, why is it the second one important? First, because the reality is that if you work with these organizations and they are happy with your work, it's very likely that they will offer you a position later. I mean, it has happened many times because this is how things work in the real world. If you are a good researcher, if you do a good work with them, then of course they want to keep you. So it's a great opportunity for you to find a job that it's not easy to find without any networks. But even if, let's say, you do 3 months with the World Bank and then you decide that you would like to do something else, I mean, for your CV, it makes a massive difference because then you will have a master's degree in data science or economics and then a leadership with a very important international organization, which means that whenever you apply for other jobs, people will notice that and they will understand that they have someone who has the necessary tools from a traditional economics perspective and theories and so on, but at the same time, they understand how you apply these tools in practice. And the final thing to say is that it's always a kind of a small challenge for people to quickly find a job when they get their degree. So it might take a little bit of time until you apply, they invite you to interviews. So instead of doing that in September and being, having this stress of I need to find a job, I mean, many students do this quickly, but in other cases, it might take a little bit of time. You will have the opportunity to directly work for an important organization, and then you will have a lot of time to think about your applications, to think about where you want to apply. So, I mean, we designed this in a way to make it ideal for our students, to be honest.
Excellent. And one final question would be the application will come in today, let's say, or tomorrow. When can a student expect to start? Is it your stereotypical September start dates, or are they more flexible throughout the year?
I mean, right now it's basically they will start in September. So they will apply. If they get an offer and accept it, basically they will start in September. We have just to say that once you get an offer and you are accepted for some of our programs, there is a pre-sessional course. It's asynchronous. You have to do this on your own time. It's about quantitative stuff. It's mostly for people to get prepared. And this can happen in August or September, but basically you will start your studies with us in September.
Excellent. Yanis, thank you very much. Thanks for your time. I think we'll call it a day there. Thank you very much. Anyone that's watching today has any questions, please point your questions in the direction to webinars at postgradsolutions.com. There is a QR code on the screen right now. And if you want to find out more information, I've just scanned it myself. It's got everything that you need in there. It's got everything from future and open events, all the way to finding about funding and scholarships and any other questions that you might have. Yanis, thank you for your presentation today. Thank you for taking the time and appreciate your efforts also. Thank you and take care.